welcome to the Saturday edition of the Fairbanks Evening News. Today is January 25th. I'm Holly Seiler, leading our news tonight. A Fairbanks man is under arrest after allegedly fleeing from authorities, breaking into a home, and stealing weapons. 36-year-old Brandon Barron was arrested Thursday after being wanted by troopers since earlier this month. Barron was allegedly seen by a resident stealing fuel from his parked truck on January 8th. According to troopers, Barron fled on foot when they arrived, forced entry into a nearby home, and stole money, firearms, and a snow machine. Barron was arrested after troopers pulled him over for unrelated causes this week. He's charged with multiple counts of burglary and theft. Fire crews from 4 departments battled a blaze in the University West area today. The blaze destroyed a detached garage on Chena Small Tracks Road just off Chena Pump Road. A quick response by firefighters kept the blaze from spreading to the house nearby. Traffic was diverted around the area because of the fire equipment and hoses on the road. No injuries were reported. Firefighters from Chena Goldstream, University, Fort Wainwright, and Esther responded to the call. This week marks the 4th day of school that's had to be canceled this year due to weather, one more day than the district had built into the calendar for inclement weather days. While the state is deciding whether or not to grant a waiver to the school district to allow them to not add another day, there's been discussion on adding more possible makeup days to future calendars. School board members who have been a part of those discussions say that while adding unplanned days to the calendar comes with a host of problems, adding possible makeup days also raises issues.
We haven't gone over the 3 days previous, to my knowledge, so this is something that's a little bit different for us this year. But it's very complicated in trying to figure out how to get all those days built in, and nobody wants to start school any earlier, and nobody wants to get out of school any earlier. Everybody loves their Christmas break, and everybody loves their spring break. So figuring out how to play all of those pieces, we have various contracts that we have to meet criteria with, what's best for our students, what's best for our community.
A flash flood warning and voluntary evacuation order has been lifted, but the only road to Valdez remains closed by avalanches. The avalanches struck the Richardson Highway on Friday, burying it in snow and ice 30 to 40 feet deep in some places. The Alaska Department of Transportation called them some of the biggest avalanches ever seen in that area. No injuries or major damages have been reported, but the highway could be in rough shape when clearing finally begins. Officials say the road will remain closed through Sunday. A qualifying race for the Iditarod has been canceled due to warm weather, the second mid-distance qualifier to be canceled. Race officials called off the Tustamena race on the Kenai Peninsula on Friday. The recent run of mild weather and rain wiped out much of the snow in south-central Alaska. Earlier this week, the Northern Lights 300 at Big Lake was also canceled. Race director Tammy Murray says a dearth of snow and too much water forced their decision. Reigning Iditarod champion Mitch Seavey topped the field signed up for the race. And speaking of the Iditarod, for the last 10 years, New Yorkers have dressed up in costumes, hopped on shopping carts, and raced through the city. They call the competition the Iditarod NYC. Earlier this week, the Iditarod Trail Committee sent a cease and desist order to the New York City race, saying that their use of the name infringed on ITC's trademark. The letter from Anchorage attorney John Dawson says since the group hasn't licensed the trademark, they are causing confusion and diluting the Iditarod brand. The New York City race set for this Saturday is still set to go, according to race organizers, though in an effort to avoid legal ramifications, they've changed their name to Iditarod NYC. The Alaska Lieutenant Governor U.S. Senate campaign reported raising more than $228,000 during the last quarter. Meade Treadwell is among the candidates seeking the GOP nomination for the U.S. Senate seat, currently held by Democrat Mark Begich. Begich is seeking re-election. Another Republican hopeful, Dan Sullivan, announced earlier this month that he had raised about $1.3 million between October and December, but did not provide further details at that time. The filing deadline with the Federal Election Commission is January 31st. 80% of Treadwell's campaign donations during the last quarter came from Alaskans. When we come back, rockets take flight at the Poker Flat Research Range, and experts are brought to Fort Wainwright to help with weapon performance in cold weather. We'll have the stories and much more when the weekend's only local televised newscast returns. Stay with us. Welcome back. Today marks the opening of the 2014 launch season at Poker Flat Research Range north of Fairbanks. Scientists are preparing for an experiment that will launch a NASA-sounding rocket over the Aurora while observing beneath it using cameras based in the northern Alaskan village of Venati. The goal is to learn more about the energy connection that powers the Aurora and affects our satellites and global positioning systems. Even a less than fantastic display will allow instruments on the rocket to radio data back to Poker Flat. The launch window for the experiment opens tonight and extends to February 6th. This week, parents and teachers heard a new voice on school district robocalls due to unseasonable weather. Scott McCrae, the new director of public relations for the district, started his job Tuesday and had a very busy week. Thursday and Friday, he messaged parents notifying them of school cancellations. He says the district is always looking for new ways to contact parents with important updates. Superintendent Pete Lewis says McCrae will bring a wealth of experience to the job. McCrae is a longtime Fairbanks resident who has been deeply involved in the Fairbanks community.
So we want to continue to look at ways, what's the best way to get the word out to parents and community members, so that they're informed and engaged about what's happening with our schools. So we want to continue to look at ways like that. How are we using modern technology to reach out to parents, as well as keeping in mind that not all parents are on smartphones or have internet access. We want to keep those traditional means of communicating to them as well.
The Stryker Brigade at Fort Wainwright does a lot of training with a lot of different equipment. Some things don't work as well as others in the winter cold of Fairbanks, so it has to be tested for its effectiveness. Area residents can often hear the artillery as the unit does its practice off the Richardson Highway near Badger Road. Some parts of the big guns can also be affected by the low temperatures, so they brought up some experts to make them compatible in the cold.
And they've been giving us tips and pointers on what we can do to make them shoot better in the sub-zero temperatures. Came out here to test that, to see how the equipment would function. When we planned this, we were looking at the typical forecast where it would be sub-zero temperatures this time of year. Obviously, we can't control the Alaskan weather, and it's a nice balmy day.
The Tax Center on Fort Wainwright will be opening for this year's tax season on Monday. The center provides free tax counseling and e-filing for all active duty military members and their families. Last year, the Fort Wainwright Tax Center saved its clients more than $100,000 in fees and helped members receive over $1 million in tax refunds. The Tax Center is operated by active duty soldiers who are trained by the Internal Revenue Service and are certified tax preparers. We now continue with our series of the agencies of the United Way. Tonight, the News Center's Mike Schultz puts the spotlight on the Farthest North Girl Scout Council.
The National Girl Scouts were formed in 1912 when 18 girls in Savannah, Georgia, gathered for a local meeting. The Farthest North Girl Scout Council in Fairbanks dates back to the 1950s. For 18 years, Sue Ellen Nellis has grown with the Girl Scouts to become their executive director. I asked her what kind of impact the United Way of the Tanana Valley has had on her agency.
It is a big part of our budget. The best part about it is it's undesignated funds. So the United Way really trusts the member agencies to use the money in the very best way that they know how to use it.
What is Sue Ellen most proud of for her agency in the Farthest North?
Probably the thing that gives me the most pride in doing this job here and being with the Girl Scouts is watching the development of girls over time. They can join our organization as young as 5 years old when they're in kindergarten, and a lot of them do stay with us all the way through high school, earning their Gold Award. And to watch that development, see them bloom into the community leaders that I know they're going to be, just gives us all of the staff here, and our board of directors, just a sense of pride that we're helping our community.
Over her years with the Girl Scouts, what does she feel is her most rewarding or fulfilling moment?
You know, I really love what I do for the Girl Scouts. I love coming into work every day. I hardly consider it a job. It's just fun to be here, fun to be around the girls and our volunteers, our staff, our board of directors. It's a really community feeling here at the Girl Scouts.
The United Way campaign is just about over, but there is still time to donate. And remember, all donations stay within the community. Mike Schultz, News Center 11.
So it was a pretty big weekend up on campus with women's hockey starting.
Yeah, it was. It's a monumental weekend for Alaska Nanook sports. Women's hockey playing their first home series ever.
It's amazing.
And
it's
a lot
so
more.
Fun.
It's just been it's a great week for sports, and I think it's going to continue as we move through this year. So fantastic stuff. We have lots of sports coming up for you folks. Big Nanook weekend on the ice, in the pool, and on the court. Also, the Fairbanks Ice Dogs continue their winning ways. Stay right here for sports coming your way next. And hello, Interior Alaska. Michael Ives here with your Saturday sports. It's been a busy sports weekend with broken records and Nanook success, and we'll start off on the ice. With the regular season winding down and playoff spots and positions up for grabs, Nanook hockey hosts the Beavers from Bemidji State at the Carlson Center both last night and this evening. The best way for Alaska to move back up the WCHA standings is by beating the teams ahead of them. And the Nanooks start off this series the right way with a blanking of the Beavers.
The Nooks back in front of their home fans in their own barn at the Carlson Center, and they gave them something to cheer about. At the 14:23 mark of the first period, Cody Kunit making his case for the Hobie Baker Award with a short-handed goal, his 13th of the year. Credit the assist to Jarrett Larson. Sean Cahill was in between the pipes tonight, and he was on fire, denying 20 early shots from the Beavers. Cahill and the defense shut out the Beavers for all of the second period, but so were the Nooks until 3:31 in the third period. Jarrett Larson, the former Ice Dog, puts one in net for UAF. Nolan Heisman's with the assist. The Nanooks are up 2-0. Under 3 minutes to go, and the Beavers tried and tried, but Sean Cahill was standing tall and standing on his head tonight. He was in another zone. Cahill with 27 saves tonight. Then with 9 seconds left, rookie Marcus Bassara adds an empty net goal for the final tally. The Nanooks win 3-0. The junior, Sean Cahill, with the shutout victory. It's his first shutout as a Nanook, and it's also the first shutout of the year for the Nooks and the first shutout since a 3-0 win over Bowling Green in 2011.
It was a Fairbanks first this weekend for Nanook sports as the UAF women's hockey team showcased their talents at home against the Delaware Blue Hens. It was all Nanooks on the patty ice from the get-go. Alaska would score early and often, dominating play throughout this contest. Senior goalie Katrina Leiden would get the shutout for Alaska as they skate to a 7-0 win in Game 1 of this set. Game 2 was played today on the Olympic-sized Carlson Center ice, and the Nanooks would again dominate and win this one, Game 2, 10-0 to finish off the series. UAF head coach Scott Vakaroth says the atmosphere for this weekend series has been something special.
It's huge. That goes without saying. Seeing how many people were out there tonight, how loud they were, how much it energized the girls, it really shows how much our program how far it's gone over the years, and just it was very exciting. We were in the locker room before the game. Even during the game, you could see our girls were a little bit nervous. They've never played in front of this many people, so it was exciting.
The Fairbanks Ice Dogs are on the road this weekend facing Wichita Falls in Texas. In front of the largest crowd that they have faced on the road all season, the Dogs get some special team support and cruise to a win over the Wildcats. Fairbanks would score the only goal of the first period off an Ethan Somoza tally, leading early. The Wildcats would knot it at 1 in the second period before a Chandler Maudry power play goal puts the Ice Dogs ahead to stay. Brett Gervais would add a shorthanded goal just minutes into the third period, and the Ice Dogs goalie Kevin Aldridge does the rest. Aldridge stops 21 shots in the win and moves to 21-9-0 on the season when starting in net for Fairbanks. These teams lock horns for the final battle of the weekend tonight in Wichita Falls. One Nanooks team finds themselves holding first place in their conference with a chance to separate from the pack a bit. We're talking UAF men's basketball who, after blasting St. Martin's on TV Thursday night, faced Western Oregon on the road today with a chance to keep on winning. It would take a tremendous comeback effort from the Nanooks as Western Oregon jumped out to a double-digit lead early in the first half of play. With the Nanooks on the ropes, they turned to their big men in the second half as Andrew Kelly and Sergei Putsar would lead the charge. Putsar would be the Nanooks' leading scorer on the night with 15 points on 6 for 9 shooting. Andrew Kelly, again, was everywhere as he notches another double-double, finishing with 14 points and 12 rebounds. The two bigs also combined for 7 steals in the tight 60-56 come-from-behind win. The Nanook win now gives them sole possession of first place in the GNAC pending games tonight for Seattle Pacific and Western Washington. Now to swimming, where 2 of the nation's top 15 programs met at the Patty Center pool this weekend, and it would be the record books taking the beating. Nanook junior Margot Adams broke her own 100 butterfly pool record with a time of 56.51 seconds. Cal Baptist Mary Hansen would set new pool records in the 50 freestyle and 100 backstroke. The Lancers would also set the 400-yard medley relay record. Altogether, 6 new record times were recorded as Alaska drops day 1 of their final home swim event of the year by a score of 123-86. The meet concludes with tonight's final relays. Now some Olympic news. An Alaskan snowboarder who competed in the 2010 Winter Olympics in Vancouver, Canada, has failed to make a return to the Winter Olympic Games in Sochi this year. Callan Sithluk Sipsoff was left off the 3-woman U.S. Olympic snowboard cross team that is headed to Sochi, Russia in February. Snowboard cross is a relatively new Olympic sport in which up to 6 snowboarders race down a narrow, winding course. Lindsay Jacobellis, Faye Galini, and Jackie Hernandez will fill out the U.S. snowboard cross roster for these games. However, another Alaskan snowboarder will represent the state in Sochi. Ryan Stassel qualified to the men's slopestyle team earlier this month. And that'll do it for sports tonight, but there are lots of great interior sporting events going on right around the corner. We've got Hockey Week in Fairbanks and the start of the Yukon Quest less than a week away. We'll have all your coverage right here on Channel 11. To stay informed, you can visit KTVF Sports on Twitter, YouTube, webcenter11.com, or download our mobile app. Keep on keeping on, Alaska. Holly Seiler's up next with your full weather forecast. Have a glorious weekend.
So it would be an understatement to say that we've had some pretty crazy weather the last couple of days.
It's to the point of being weird almost.
Yeah, and it's going to die down a little bit, so we'll get right into that. Here's our almanac for January 25th. It shows a normal high of 1 degree and a normal low of 17 below. The record high was set on this day in 1991 at 45 degrees, and the record low set in 1911 was recorded at 62 below. The sun rose this morning at a couple minutes before 10 a.m. and will set tonight at 9 minutes after 4. It's going to give us 6 hours and 11 minutes of daylight, a 7-minute gain since yesterday. This is weather around our great state today. Fort Yukon is overcast. Clouds are moving over Barrow and Nome. Nome could also see some rain and snow showers today. It's also cloudy in Fairbanks with continued warm temperatures. Healy is partly cloudy. Juneau is looking up to sunny skies. It's cloudy in Ketchikan. Rain showers are falling on Bethel with overcast skies. It's windy in Cold Bay. Kodiak is feeling rain showers today. A chance of rain is projected for Homer. Valdez is clear, and Anchorage is feeling the rain with highs in the high 30s. Now on to our friends in the lower 48. These are the high temperatures around the country today. Seattle will see clear skies to partly cloudy skies, highs in the high 50s. Mixed clouds are floating over Las Vegas with highs in the high 60s. Denver is feeling some light snowfall and wind with highs in the mid 50s. There's an active winter storm warning in Minneapolis with 3 inches of snow accumulation expected for them. Highs in the high 20s. Rain showers are falling on New Orleans with partly cloudy skies and highs in the mid 50s. New Yorkers are feeling light snow today with highs in the high 20s, and Miami is clear with light wind, highs in the mid 70s. Back in Alaska, Fort Yukon and Nome are expected to be partly cloudy tomorrow. Nome could also see some snow. Overcast skies are projected for Barrow. Fairbanks is expected to see another warm day tomorrow, a high in the 30s for us, while Healy will see partly cloudy skies. Clear skies will move over Juneau tomorrow, while Ketchikan will see partly cloudy skies, a high in the 40s for both areas. Rain is expected in both Cold Bay and Kodiak tomorrow. Cold Bay could see some fog, while Cold Bay will feel some wind. Cloudy skies are projected in Barrow. And it's all rain in south central Alaska. That goes for Anchorage and Homer. Freezing rain is actually expected in Valdez. And no rain for us, thank goodness. We'll see an overnight low around 28 degrees with light wind and partly cloudy skies. And tomorrow will be expected another beautiful day with highs in the 30s and sunny skies. And here is our extended forecast for the upcoming work week. We will slowly dip back into somewhat normal temperatures, but still above average for this time of year. We'll start Monday with almost 30 degrees and clear skies, a double-digit overnight low. Tuesday will fare slightly lower, and it will just keep going from there. Clear to partly cloudy skies every day until I see you back here next Saturday. So we're getting more normal, but it's actually above average still for this time of year. So we're having like an amazing January.
Yeah, it's just weird weather all over the country. You've got the left coast of America in a drought. You've got the right coast of America freezing.
Right.
And Alaska is so warm we have to close school during the winter.
I know.
What in the
That's
world?
going to wrap up this edition of the Fairbanks Evening News. We're really glad you could join us.
Join us here 6 days a week at 6 and 11 or online anytime at webcenter11.com.
From all of us here at the News Center, have a great night.